Cold wind blew on a stark winter night. I walked away in anger, and looking back on it, I wish I would have just stayed behind. What I saw would horrify me for the rest of my life. I was staying with my grandparents for the week, and after only a few days, I could feel the unwelcoming sense that they didn't want me there. I began walking to the track about a mile down the road. It was abandoned, so I knew it would provide the solitude that I craved. When I finally arrived, I noticed that the gate was opened. Strange, this track was surrounded by a thick forest on every side. I figured it was just someone going to walk their dog, a local perhaps. Thinking nothing of it, I entered the track, closing the gate behind me. It was quiet, deathly quiet. The feeling of absolute silence made me a little uncomfortable, so I put in my headphones and started my music. It was about 7:30 p.m. at the time. I had nothing better to do, so I decided to work out as much as I could. Sprints, push-ups, crunches, timed runs, anything I could do at the track. It started getting late, and it was dark when I started, so I figured I'd walk a lap and then go home. But when I was walking, I saw a hill leading down from the track on the far side. Remembering why I left, I spent about another 45 minutes working out on the hill. That's when things started getting weird. After a little while, my headphones started making this weird radio static sound. It was odd, but I figured it was because of the trees. It started getting louder and louder till I couldn't hear the music anymore. I took them out and set them next to my stuff on the ground and kept going. As I passed it by, I could hear the sound becoming louder, louder even more. The music was turned off. I was getting kind of scared, but I kept going. Then, while I was standing atop the hill, catching my breath, I saw him. Before I go any further, let me describe this guy. He was the tallest guy I've ever seen in my life. He was wearing all black. He had a bald head and extremely pale skin, and he was standing awkwardly at the bottom of the hill, facing the other direction. I knew something was not right because I was just looking in that direction and he was nowhere to be seen. I decided to at least check if he's okay, so I approached him. It seemed to get colder as I got closer. I could hear that sound from my headphones at the top of the hill. At first, I thought that he was breathing really heavily, but looking back on it, it occurs to me that he was whispering something underneath his breath. Something dark. I can still hear it when I'm alone at night. As I got closer, I became more and more afraid, but I had already come too far to turn back at this point. Excuse me, sir? I said to him. He turned around extremely slowly. It was then that it occurred to me that he was wearing a suit. I kept trying to look at his face, but it was like I was unable to. Like there was a magical barrier preventing me from doing so. We stood in front of each other for only a few seconds, but it felt like an eternity. Although I still couldn't look at his face, it quickly became apparent to me that he was staring at me. I was horrified, and I could only think of one thing. Run. I ran, and I ran as fast as I possibly could. My whole body was exhausted, but I ran away out of fear and didn't dare to look back even once. As I ran out of the track, I noticed the gate had been opened again, proving that this man was no figment of my imagination. No, he was real, and he was really there, standing mere feet before me. I still wonder sometimes what would have happened if I would have stayed behind.